What's up, everybody? Ryan Thomas back after the little break there. After we wrapped up, I wrapped up with BangedUpBills.com, very own Kyle Trimble. Multiple-time guest on the podcast, and will continue to be. Always enjoy Kyle Trimble's presence on the show. As I said in the podcast, unfortunately, we had to talk about some Buffalo Bills injuries. I hate to talk about injuries, especially when they're talking about my team, the Buffalo Bills. But Kyle is one of the best injury evaluators that I have ever talked to. And I enjoy discussing injuries with him, among many, many other things. So check that out. That is currently available on the Thomas Take Sports Podcast Apple Podcasts Network channel. And also available on Spotify and will soon be available on TrainwreckSports.com. So tune in on all three of those platforms. Greatly appreciate it. So now I have to dive into a situation that I can no longer ignore anymore. I can't do it. I can't ignore Baker Mayfield because I did something a few weeks back that linked me to Baker Mayfield. I drafted Baker Mayfield in my fantasy football draft. Yes, I went after Baker Mayfield. I went after the guy that I stated a year ago in April 2018 was the worst first overall pick of all time. Not all time, pardon me. Was the worst first overall pick by a team picking first overall in recent memory. And I'll tell you why. We'll start with that, and we'll move onward and upward. I believed that the Cleveland Browns made a massive mistake taking Baker Mayfield first overall, and it's not an indictment on Baker Mayfield's talent or lack thereof. It was actually to prop up, to strengthen the prospect known as Saquon Barkley, one of the best running backs I have ever seen, let alone one of the best prospects that has entered in the draft in recent memory. All the great running backs that have come from the collegiate ranks to the pros, guys like Ezekiel Elliott, guys like Melvin Gordon, guys like Todd Gurley, guys like Christian McCaffrey, to name a few. Dalvin Cook, to name a few, that were successful in college, were taken high in the NFL. I believed that Saquon Barkley was better than all of them. And so far, so good. I mean, it's not like Saquon Barkley had like 2,000 all-purpose yards, whatever the hell it was last year, 1,800, 1,900, whatever it was. And it's not like he wasn't carrying the rock for the Giants offense until he got hurt this past week and hurt his ankle, and he'll be out for the foreseeable future. But he is a running back, and he is a running back playing behind a pretty poor offensive line on a pretty poor team, which is often the case with a running back that's taken that high. That team is not that good, and that running back really makes the best of his situation. If he is truly elite, he will put up the numbers that he's supposed to put up. If he is not, then he will suffer for it, for playing on a team like that. Statistically, he will suffer. So, and career-wise, he will suffer. So, Saquon Barkley, elite of the elite, one of the top three running backs. I'd say Ezekiel Elliott, Saquon Barkley. I'm a big Alvin Kamara fan. I'm a big Christian McCaffrey fan as far as what they bring to the table. But you could really mix-match rankings like that any day of the week, and I really wouldn't disagree with you on any different account, any different list. But the point is, I thought that it was a mistake for the Cleveland Browns to take Baker Mayfield first overall. While I understood why they took him, felt like he needed to bring his edge to the team. They felt like they needed his edge. They felt like they needed his moxie. They felt like he fit into Cleveland. All those things are valid points. But for as great a quarterback as I think Baker Mayfield can be, I also think throughout the course of his career thus far and beyond, Baker Mayfield needs to tread very, very, very carefully, because he could wind up being his own worst enemy. My quarterback for my team that I root for, team that I've rooted for ever since I was a little kid, the Buffalo Bills, drafted Josh Allen the same year. Now, they are both two very different quarterbacks. Baker Mayfield likes to get the ball out of his hand quickly. Baker Mayfield doesn't really like to run. He can run, but he doesn't really want to. That's not his first instinct. Josh Allen likes to throw the ball around like a gunslinger. Josh Allen shoots from his hip. Josh Allen likes to extend plays, likes to run with the ball, likes to run people over. And, you'd say that's, a little bit of part of his weakness, but it's fun to watch. It's exciting. And Baker Mayfield in his own way is exciting. But one thing that you would never expect to hear or see from Josh Allen in comparison to Baker Mayfield are these post-game interviews or interviews at the team facility leading up to the games, where Baker Mayfield seems to always be at odds with somebody, whether it's Hugh Jackson, whether it's Colin Cowherd, whether it's now Rex Ryan. And all these guys I mentioned, Hugh Jackson, Colin Cowherd, Rex Ryan, Baker Mayfield's a grown man. If he wants to go down that road and embark on a verbal sparring match with those guys through the media, that's his choice. But I was told something once, and I've applied it to my life ever since. If you don't have anything good to say, don't say anything at all. If you don't have anything good to say in response to someone who doesn't have anything good to say about you, why even waste an ounce of your energy on the opinions of coaches or media members when you are the quarterback of the Cleveland Browns? For what it's worth, you got the keys to the Ferrari. Maybe the Cleveland Browns have slipped. Maybe they should have went after better offensive linemen rather than Odell Beckham Jr. Maybe they should have went after their needs rather than their wants. And that is why the Cleveland Browns are 1-2 instead of 3-0 like the Buffalo Bills. Maybe that is the case. But Baker Mayfield has to tread carefully for the sake of the Cleveland Browns today, and for the sake of the Cleveland Browns in the future, and for the sake of Baker Mayfield today, and for the sake of Baker Mayfield in the future. You get my point. They go hand in hand. When you invest a first overall draft choice in a quarterback, that is your guy for hopefully the next 10 to 15 years. And if you're as bad as the Cleveland Browns were, 1-15, 1-31 in a 2-year span, you needed that quarterback. You decided to go with him. You can't look in the rear view now. You got him. He's yours. But take your pick. What is more frustrating? Starting off 1-2, or starting off 1-2 and having your quarterback, who you need to be dialed in with his head in the game, reacting to comments by media members or former coaches that have been fired from 2 different teams. Why even acknowledge it? Why even give the media that quote, or give Rex Ryan or Colin Cowherd or Hugh Jackson that quote? It is a complete waste of time, and it actually proves the point of the people that don't have anything good to say. You are stooping to the level of the people that have nothing good to say about you. Why would you do it? Why would you waste energy that you need to help the Browns finally become something better than 1-32 or 1-31 in the last 2 seasons? Now, last year, they almost made the playoffs. Last year, they probably would have made the playoffs had they not wasted their time, the fans' time, and the media's time deciding to start Tyrod Taylor the first couple games of the season. Tyrod Taylor, the ceiling was reached in Buffalo. He goes from Buffalo to Cleveland in a trade. And they say, we're going to go with Tyrod Taylor instead of... come on. Really? Come on. They learned that was a mistake. Had they started Mayfield week 1 on, like Kyler Murray is with the Arizona Cardinals, just to throw out an example. I'm not saying Kyler Murray is Baker Mayfield, but most recent example that pops up in my brain, maybe they would have made the playoffs, because you saw the difference with Baker Mayfield in that lineup. Now what are you seeing? Now what are you seeing as far as how Baker Mayfield is being contained? It is that of an offense that has not grown. It is that of an offense that is being discovered and game planned for. It is that of an offense that you have a full off season, quote unquote, off season to review and game plan for how a team attacks you offensively as an opposing defense. You can review that. You can dive into that. It's a great part about football. There's film. Duh. So these defenses look at the film of the Cleveland Browns offense. They find out that Baker Mayfield does not like to move out of the pocket. Baker Mayfield does not like to be pressured. Baker Mayfield does not like to be forced to throw before he wants to throw. That's not something that he likes. Baker Mayfield likes to take that quick 3-step drop, find his open man, and get it to him. But if that first read is not there, he's in trouble. Worse than that, if the pressure is on before that first read is made, if the pressure is on before that second read is made, he's in trouble. Because this guy is not physically strong enough to stiff arm a linebacker like Josh Allen is. This guy is not physically strong enough to hurdle over a linebacker like Josh Allen is. Baker Mayfield on a good day is 5'10". On a good day. I don't care what charts you guys have that say that Baker Mayfield's 6 foot tall. He's not. Guys, I've been 5'7". I hit my growth spurt at 15. I'm not afraid to admit that. 5'7", 5'8". These guys are not much taller than me. They're not. So, that being said, Baker Mayfield, I urge this man and anyone that is a fan of him to completely throw away this chip on my shoulder personality to this extent. It's one thing to have a chip on your shoulder. It's one thing to be a competitor and to try to prove people wrong. That's one thing, and I'm cool with that. I'm the same exact way. I try to prove people wrong every single day, promoting this podcast and doing what I love, which is recording this podcast. Among all the other things that I am involved in the world of sports, that is what I enjoy the most about it, is proving other people wrong, but more so proving myself right. That's what I enjoy the most. And that mentality is the mentality that Baker Mayfield has to have. Don't worry about what other people say. Who cares? They don't give a rat's about you. They don't give a shit. They only want your reaction. They only want their time in the sun. You bring more fame to people that don't deserve it, that will literally take the fame that you've created and get shine off your name. Rex Ryan? Are you kidding me? You're going to react to something from Rex Ryan? Yeah, the quote was great. The quote was something to the tune of, Rex doesn't wear orange and brown. Oh, wait, as a matter of fact, Rex doesn't wear any NFL colors. Okay, I liked the quote. I laughed at it. I chuckled at it. I thought it was funny. It's fair to say those things. But as a quarterback of a franchise, what good does that do you? Nothing. It does you no good. Because now, from Wednesday, which is today, until Sunday or Monday, when the NFL week is finally over, week 4, that is all anyone will be talking about. And if you lose this upcoming week to the Baltimore Ravens on Sunday at 1 o'clock Eastern time, if you lose, then you really have a problem. Then you have even more media diving on you, saying, well, you said this leading up to the week, and this is the last thing that the Cleveland Browns need. And Baker Mayfield, as a leader, if he was a leader, would know that. You don't hear Josh Allen saying stupid stuff like this. So, yeah, Sam Darnold has mono, but I don't think Sam Darnold would say anything like that. Lamar Jackson was berated by the media for a whole year, saying that he wasn't a passing quarterback. Well, now what? He's thrown for 5 touchdowns in a game this year. He's dominated through the first 3 weeks, maybe not against the greatest competition, but what are they saying now? What are guys like Boomer Esiason saying about Josh Allen that they didn't say last year? Oh, that he's a top 5 quarterback under the age of 25. Where were you last year, Boomer? That's the stuff that I'm talking about with Baker Mayfield. That's what Baker Mayfield needs to do. Lead by the actions on the field rather than these cute little sound bites off of it. As long as he is going to do things like that, he's the next Cam Newton. Underachiever, a disappointment to fans, and someone that'll be out of the NFL and no one will even care. Because that's the trajectory that Cam Newton is about to embark on, and that is the trajectory that Baker Mayfield is embarking on at the beginning of his career. The path was forged by Cam, and it's being paved by Baker Mayfield, or driven down, I guess we could use that analogy. I mean, what the hell? This is stupid. I'm so sick of seeing it on TV. And you know what? The worst part of this whole thing was I thought Baker Mayfield would be different. I thought Baker Mayfield would actually say to himself, okay, I got OBJ in the house. This team has done whatever they can possibly do to make this team better around me. They bring in Jarvis Landry last year. They bring in Odell Beckham. Nick Chubb is a stud. He's been a stud since his days as a Georgia Bulldog. They bring in Kareem Hunt. Yeah, we lost Njoku, but I still like that offense pretty well. Defense is loaded. Defense is giving you opportunity after opportunity to win that game against the Rams this past week. You couldn't do it. The worst part is, weeks ago, I said Ryan Thomas is here to admit that he's wrong about Baker Mayfield. No, I take that back. I was right the entire goddamn time. I was right. I'm still right. This guy is not a leader. Period. You either are or you aren't. And he's not. You can't just become one. Because with a guy like Baker Mayfield with that big of a chip on his shoulder that knocks him down from 5'10 to 5'2, that'll never go away. In fact, he's embraced it. He's said in interviews multiple times, well, this is who I am, take it or leave it. No! I'm not going to change who I am for the football. Well, you'll be out of the league in 8 years with an underachieving career rather than a career that could quite possibly win you a couple Super Bowls. I think that's the potential of this team. I think that's the potential of Baker Mayfield. If he were to keep his mouth shut, do things right, go about his business, and not react to quotes from Rex Ryan. Do I have to say anything? Do I have to go down that road too? Okay, we'll go down that road too. Rex Ryan, the guy that outside of going to 2 AFC championships with Mark Sanchez as a coach for the New York Jets, did nothing as an NFL head coach in New Jersey / New York Jets or with Buffalo. A guy that talked the talk and barely took a step. We're going to react to his comment on an ESPN show that nobody even watches? Partially because he's on it. They watch it because he's on it, or they don't watch it because he's on it. The only reason they watch it because he's on it is to laugh at his expense. The reason they don't watch it is because it sucks. Thank God you bring in the lighthearted, off the cuff Pat McAfee. Shout out to him. I like him. But everybody else, you toss them. I'm good. Rex Ryan. Oh my God. And then Colin Cowherd, the guy that even ESPN said wasn't good enough. If ESPN tells you that you're not good enough and you go to Fox Sports, then you really need to take a look in the mirror. And I love ESPN. I'm an avid ESPN guy. Avid. I'm not saying that to discredit ESPN at all. I'm saying that to discredit Colin Cowherd. And to discredit the fact that Baker Mayfield listens to Colin Cowherd. I don't get it. ESPN found plenty of great replacements for him. I might not enjoy some of the guys on certain shows, but they are far more entertaining than that. I'm not even going to give him a word. I won't say it. Won't say it. Because that's not nice. We want to be nice on the show. So there's that. As well as the fact that Hugh Jackson, Hugh Jackson. Oh Lord. Oh my God. Oh my God. Baker Mayfield, buddy, listen to me. Why would you react to the opinion of your former head coach that didn't even have the cojones to start you, which ultimately led to his firing? You won. You won that battle already. Why go back to the well and embark on that verbal fisticuffs? I don't get it. I don't like it. And I want it to change because I do want to see Cleveland do well. I like Cleveland. Great city, great people. That city single-handedly saved my grandfather's life when he was at the Cleveland Clinic in 2001. That city has always been a joy for me to be a part of for a short time, whether it's a weekend trip or baseball trip to take in a couple Indians games. I've always been a supporter of Cleveland. I see a lot of similarities between Cleveland and Buffalo. They've both suffered as fan bases in the National Football League. I was thrilled when the Cleveland Cavaliers won the NBA title. I was thrilled for LeBron, who I love, and I was thrilled for the Cavs. Now they got a guy from my own backyard as their head coach, John Beilein. So I like Cleveland. If there wasn't a team in Buffalo, I'd probably be rooting for Cleveland right now. But they deserve better than this. They deserve better discussion. I mean, as a Cleveland fan, I'm telling you guys, you got to be worried a little bit. The fact that Baker Mayfield can get distracted by these media influences as a defensive coordinator, or better yet, as a defensive player in the National Football League, I think to myself, man, I am so thankful this guy's not on my team, because this guy gets distracted by anything that anyone says about him. He must have been like the gossip king of his high school. I mean, he gets distracted by anything that anybody says about him. It's ridiculous. And every week it's something new. Ever since he got in the NFL, every single week it's something new. How am I supposed to think Baker Mayfield could be in the Hall of Fame one day when he bites on any time a media member says something about him, when the media are the people that vote for him to be in the Hall of Fame one day? I can go on and on about this, but I can only talk about it so much without getting so frustrated. And this guy isn't even the quarterback of the team that I root for and cover every single week on this podcast. He's a quarterback for a team that is a competitor to the team that I root for and cover on this podcast. And yet I still care because I know this guy's better than that. I know he can compete. I know he can play well. I know he has the talent. He just won't stop feeding into the negativity of outside influences. And I can't stand it. Draft him in my fantasy league. He had a phenomenal rookie season. And I thought, well, he's year 2. He's a year older. Weapons. Why not? The maturity level has actually gone down within a year. And I think it's only going to continue to go down. I'm only left to assume that now. I really hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong for the Cleveland Browns fans. And I hope I'm wrong for the sake of Baker Mayfield's career. But nonetheless, I leave you with that tonight. Baker Mayfield, tread carefully, my man. Stop with the nonsense. I'm Ryan Thomas. You tune in to the Thomas Take Sports Podcast. Soon this episode will be uploaded on Apple Podcasts. You can subscribe to the Apple Podcast channel. You can follow me on Spotify. You can also follow me on Twitter at Ryan Thomas Take. I would greatly appreciate it. As well, feel free to tweet me anytime to talk anything sports oriented. This is not just a football podcast, folks. This is the Swiss Army knife of sports podcasts, as I like to say. Football, baseball, hockey, mixed martial arts, and boxing. Fab Five. How about that? The best 5 sports, in my opinion. Join the takeover. Follow me on Twitter at Ryan Thomas Take. You can even follow me on Instagram. I love talking to people on Instagram. I love going live on there with friends. I've enjoyed this process the last 4 years. It has changed my life drastically, but we are not at the 4-year mark yet. January of 2020 will be the 4-year mark, 4-year birthday of the Thomas Take Sports Podcast, and boy, has it grown, and boy, has it changed my life for the better. Thank you so much for all the support, everybody. I leave you with that. Good night, and I'll see you Sunday night for the Thomas Takeover post-game show.